finances are the enabling factors, what enables you to be able to get to your level of career. So for instance, if you want to springboard in your career, then you need to invest in education, you need to have your own personal growth and development, and you need finances to enable you to get to that level of career.
Hi everyone, this is Saved by Nobel, the podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Nyanja.
And I'm your host, Vicky Ngetich.
In Saved by Nobel, we cover all things learning and growth that is very unique for the African perspective. I know, we live this African life where things that are, our learning and growth is actually very unique in terms of our context. So I am very passionate about some topics like finance productivity. I know, Vicky, you are professional in terms of sales and marketing. There's some things that bring us together, things that are uniquely African, like family and side hustle. We cover anything that we'd want our friends and all of our listeners and our friends to be able to know as they maneuver through life. Vicky, last episode, we went through balance scorecard and we went through career. And I know I harassed you a bit in terms of very pointed questions.
Yes.
But what are you going to be covering as a continuation of that topic this week?
Good one. And thank you, Dennis. In the last episode, you really broke down the balance scorecard into palatable chunks. And I think in this episode, we'll talk about the other facets of the balance scorecard, including finances, relationships, spirituality, and personal growth. So, yes, we look forward to you unpacking further these chunks into smaller, palatable parts.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think because you keep bringing spirituality, we're going to... I've had you. Let's see if we have space at the end of the episode to be able to bring it up.
Okay.
Now, Vicky, remember the last episode we talked about career and it being very different from finances. Why do you think career is being differentiated from finances in this particular context of goal setting?
That's a good question, Dennis. I know for most people, they're not really able to differentiate between career and finances. But according to my understanding, finances are the enabling factors, what enables you to be able to get to your level of career. So for instance, if you want to springboard in your career, then you need to invest in education, you need to have your own personal growth and development, and you need finances to enable you to get to that level of career. So they are sort of interrelated and they work closely together. Yes.
I think I hold more of a broader point of view when I think about finances. I believe that everything that we do is meant to give us the life that we want. And ultimately, the life that we want is one of pleasure, is one where we enjoy ourselves, either through relaxing or through achieving what you actually have set out to be able to do. Your career, it could be that, right? But sometimes, and I think for most people, their career gets them the money to be able to live life very well. Right? And so finances to me is the blood, the energy, the enabler, as we said, that gets us to be able to achieve our more broader goals as defined by the balance scorecard. Now, when you think about finances in your context, Vicky, you have a job. And I think you mentioned that, and congratulations to your promotion.
Thank you.
That you... At the mid-level, mid to senior level of your career. I don't want to discount that. But when you think about your finances, how are they separate from your career?
That's a good one, Dennis. As I said earlier, I am of the opinion that my finances and my career are sort of interlinked. I also believe that I'm yet to get to financial freedom. So it's a journey that I am on.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe by the end of this conversation, I would be able to figure out a better way to get to financial freedom.
And I think you've touched it.
Yes.
You've touched it. Finances, your finance goals are the ones that eventually get you to financial freedom. And to separate it from career and also for the purpose of the audience as well, is the disciplines that you have to be able to have. The discipline, not disciplines. Disciplines is different topics. The discipline that you have to be able to build to be able to get to your financial freedom, those are the things that we would cover here. So for example, you earn your money, and a lot of us earn money, and you might have a very good paycheck. Let's call it 1 million shillings. What happens if you spend 1.5 million shillings every single month and you had 1 million shillings? You're negative.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
And therefore, for such a person, they would be in trouble and their finance goals are going to be very, very important. Now, let's assume that you earn 20,000 shillings or 50,000 shillings and you save 20,000 shillings. Are you not better off than the person making 1 million shillings?
You are.
Right?
Yes.
And so that is why finances and career are very different. When you look at it from the lens of career, then the person earning 1 million shillings is doing well.
Yes.
But if you look at it from the lens of the person who's doing well financially, then the person who's saving 40% of their income is actually doing well. So here you have goals like staying out of debt.
Yes.
Saving for retirement as goals that are covered here. I don't know, Vicky, there is this gentleman, actually not an old man, he's an old man called Dave Ramsey. Have you heard of Dave Ramsey?
I've heard of Dave Ramsey.
What have you heard about Dave Ramsey?
Is he an author? No.
He's known for Staircase to Financial Freedom.
Yes.
He's the one who talks about baby steps to financial freedom, and a lot of this design has actually been used everywhere else. Where we're talking about the first thing you need to do is to be able to have X amount of months of savings, and then you need to pay some certain debt, and then you have to be able to do etc. etc. So there are a couple of steps before you get to financial freedom, and everybody who talks about personal finance in one way or the other always subscribes to this ladder, baby steps to freedom. So Vicky, when I want to put you on the spot,
okay.
When you think about now bringing to perspective that there is a journey. What is your next journey? Have you saved for your do you have your emergency fund?
That's a good question, Dennis. So I'm currently reading a book called Psychology of Money. And in that book, it's I don't know if you've read the book, but it's a very interesting book about perception of money. And in that book, I've learned about tracking your expenditure, saving for the future, and consistently saving for your future. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, I'm a good saver. I actually do track my savings and expenditure quite oftenly, and I do it in a consistent manner.
Perfect.
Yes.
And I think for most people, that's going to be a struggle. So that's going to be their goal. So therefore, the person who's struggling to actually save, so the objective is to save a certain amount of money and to be going back to the very smart goals. I want to be able to save 100,000 shillings in the next 4 or 5 months as a goal. This is somebody who's earning 50,000 shillings. There's a squeeze in terms of the economy,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And they have set this goal for themselves to be able to save 100,000 shillings to have that emergency fund that you're actually talking about. What do you think would be an action for this person to be able to do?
I think the action would be just find out how much you actually make in a month. How much expenditure do you have in that month? then how much is left in the basket for you to save and maybe push you or cushion you throughout the month. So first of all, identify how much do you have in your basket.
So this person has already realized that. And I think I'm going to just put some pressure there, Vicky, because for most people, they already know this situation.
Okay.
Right? And this is where a lot of like personal finance consultancy comes into place, because in our minds, we have to hack our brains, right? Which is an entire discipline on its own. So this person knows that I need to save 100,000 shillings because that's my emergency fund. It's going to take me for the next 3-6 months should I lose my job. This is what I need to do. They realize that for very few people have income and then they have expenses, and then the income is more than the expenses.
Yes.
So they don't wait for the money to end at the end of the month. They start at the beginning.
Okay.
So maybe an action could be, I want to be able to start, put a standing order so that when the salary hits,
it goes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The first 10% or 20% goes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that could be an action on finances. So as you realize, there's so much to learn from finances.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Let's go to the next one for time. Relationships. When you think about relationships, Vicky, what comes to mind from an African context?
So from an African context, even before I give you the perspective about relationship, I read somewhere that 5 years from now, you'll be the same person, except from the books that you read and the people that you interact with. So those people that you interact with forms the backbone of relationships. And that could be your family, your friends, your peers, your coach, whoever. So relationship is anyone that you have an interaction with. Yes.
Right. And so from an African context, which category comes into mind when you think about relationships?
Family, friends, mostly those two.
So let's get maybe to the personal balance scorecard.
Yes.
Let's start with family.
Yes.
I know you and I, we are different.
Yes.
And that's what makes this podcast very beautiful. So we are recording this in my house. I have my 3 girls downstairs and my wife.
Yes.
You are at a different context in terms of your life.
Yes.
It's your personal choice. But when you think about family, what is your current context and what goals do you have for family?
Okay. Good question. And thanks for bringing that up. So according to me, I am a single mom of an 8-year-old girl. Family to me means people that depend on me. So my daughter and also my siblings, who I actually stay with some of my siblings. So these are people who depend on me. So my objective is to create an enabling environment for them to get to where I am, or even in the near future to be able to be competitive and position themselves well out there in the job market or even education-wise.
Perfect.
Yes.
And I think you've brought it very well together, is that you don't really have to conform to any definition. And the balance scorecard is meant for you to be able to be balanced in your own way. You are doing so well in terms of your career, but you cannot do it alone.
Yes.
You have to do it with family. You want to be able to sit down and have tea or nyama choma together when everybody is accomplished.
Yes, yes.
And so part of your goals include, for my siblings who are staying with me, I want them to be independent and established a couple of years from now. Right? That is your broad goal. What is the sub goal there?
So one of the sub goal is like one of my siblings just finished campus.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you take them to school or?
No. Yeah. So we still have our parents present. So our parents have been taking care of the fees part. But what the role I've played is guiding and mentoring my sister, Maureen, and also talking to peers that I have in the industry. So she's a mechanical engineer. I've also been reaching out to peers I have within the engineering industry to get her a practical experience in those institutions. So basically providing direction and just being like a bridge for her to get to where she wants to.
Yeah. And I know we promise that this show is an African show. And you do know that if you're already ahead of the game,
Yes.
then part of your goal should be how do I empower my siblings? How do I empower my relatives? Right? And so as you plan for 2024, you want to be thinking about who do I want to bring along? Can I support them in my goal? And for me, I was actually a product of one of, so many relatives in one way or the other paying fees there. And, even this CPA that I did, a cousin of mine actually paid for it.
Wow.
Right? So that is actually what makes us uniquely African. Let us go to personal growth. Remember, we had used the reference of an engine. Now you're taking care of your career. That is your boss's money. You're taking care of your siblings as part of your relationship.
Yes.
What is Vicky doing for Vicky?
Vicky is trying to take care of her health, mental health, physical health, spiritual health. So what I've done is I've enrolled in a gym. So I go to the gym, honestly, not every day, but at least 3 times in a week after work, mostly 6 to 7 p.m. I do my annual medical checks. So just to make sure I'm good physically. And spiritually, I also go to church to just nourish myself. Yes.
Perfect. And I think let's touch on one there, which is physical health. I used to tell myself that if I moved next to a gym, I would really work out. You've been to my house. I am 3 meters from a gym. I still have gym goals. And so personal growth is about looking at yourself and saying, I am the engine of my life. I need to take care of myself. Right? What goals do I have for myself? Right? It could be, as you say, physical, mental, how many books you want to read, spiritual, you want to be able to get to another level with your relationship with God. It could also be, I want to go on holiday.
Exactly. Yes.
This, you have to pay, okay, it's the wrong context. Pay yourself first, so most people say you pay yourself first, pay your future self first.
Yes.
But also don't forget about your present self.
Yes.
So you need to have also personal goals. Now, let's use this one that I'm comfortable with, which is going on holiday. Let's set aside the physical health one for now. You want to go on holiday, Vicky, and I think you and I, we've traveled in 1 or 2 places. You want to save up. Yeah, Vicky and I, we were in a trip in August and we spent a lot of dollars, right?
Don't remind me.
If you wanted to be able to plan for that very well, and now we're in January, your goal is, I want to be able to go to the US, work, school and holiday. What would be your sub goal to be able to hit this objective?
That's a good example. So I'm glad you mentioned that we did travel in August. So at the beginning of the year, I knew I was going to travel to the US in August. And what I did is I budgeted proactively. So every end of the month, I would set aside a couple of dollars in preparation.
Back then, dollars was like 120.
Yes.
Yeah.
Halfway through, of course, Forex challenges and all those things. But what I did is I had to budget proactively and know how much I needed. And since I had like 6 months to the trip, then I used to set aside a couple of dollars for this trip.
Perfect.
Yes.
And the intentional setting aside of cash for a trip, that could be a goal in itself.
Yes.
I promised that you're going to cover spirituality, but I don't know whether it was relationships or personal growth. I think you brought it as spiritual health.
Yes.
I know that we are almost at time, but of course, for a lot of people, that relationship with God, that whatever they actually define it to be, spirituality is actually very important, whatever you actually define it to be. So we've covered our finances, we've covered relationship, we've covered personal growth. We can cover spirituality if that is important to somebody. Our recommendation is somebody has between 4 and 7 different categories that they're actually tracking that go into the balance scorecard. Now, Vicky, you and I, we come from very unique growth in that we enjoy setting goals, and we've been doing this for the last how many years. But, before that, I remember, you say that, something happened in your life that led you to be very, very intentional. Now, for the person who's actually starting, how do they make sure that 2024, February, that they have not lost all of their goals? What are some of the tips that you'd give them?
Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up. So for me, I started being intentional back in 2015 when I got my daughter 8 years ago. I figured now that I had a dependent in my life, I needed to be very intentional in terms of the goals and objectives that I set for myself. I knew I had someone else depending on me. So what I would tell our audience is be very intentional with what you want to achieve for yourself. Look around you. Do you have people who also depend on you? And try as much as possible to incorporate them in your goal setting process as well. Yeah.
Perfect. I think we've covered as many episodes of the Personal Balance Cook in the last 2 episodes.
Yes.
What would you like our listener to go and do? Maybe not this week, but I know we have some time between now and when we break for that December holiday. What do you want our audience to be able to go out and do?
I would tell our audience to just look around your life, be it your finances, relationships, career, personal growth and development. What is it that you want to achieve the next coming year? Write down, pen them down on paper and just be very specific. Put them in short-term goals, mid-term, and even long-term goals. And hopefully you can review them at the beginning of the year and see which ones you'll give priority to.
Perfect. And I think there's something that you also mentioned that I'll remind the audience, Vicky, our listener, is that you asked me to be accountable for you going to this French, registering for French class. Accountability is actually very important.
Yes.
In goal setting, make sure that you have somebody you can share, if not all, some aspect of your aspirations in 2024. And then encourage, when you meet this particular person, proactively give them an update.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That accountability system gets you there. So make sure that you take action after listening to this by writing things down. You're 50% done. If you have a very smart goal.
Yes.
And number 2, go and tell somebody that this is what I'm going to do. I hope this episode has taught you something new, or at least reminded you of something that you once knew. We're always very excited if you go out and apply it, and let us know what the experience looks like. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn as Dennis Nyanja, Nyanja, or Victorine Ngetich, Ngtich. That is Dennis Nyanja or Victorine Ngetich on LinkedIn. You can also reach out to us on our socials at Saved by Nobel, those are 4 words, Saved by Nobel on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you like this episode, please forward it to a friend. And remember to give us a 5-star rating and review wherever you got this podcast from. Hope you've been saved by Nobel, and we'll see you on the next one.